Real YouTubers. Repeat topics. We've done a similar video before, but this one is different, so you should still watch. Maybe if I underline it. Yeah, I kind of like that. Hello. So, there I was. On Twitter.com. And I saw some people talking about ranking the VGC Mons, you know, coming back to the tier lists. Now that we are, you know, pretty well into VGC 2020. So obviously, I did a video, which is one of my most popular videos ever, ranking every single Pokemon that was legal in Sword and Shield. And I gave my opinion on them, and it was very early format. It was very, very early into the format. Some people were upset with my tier list, so I made kind of a conventional one as well. And I thought it could be cool to touch on it, again, the same topic. Now that we are several months into the format, we have a pretty good grasp of like what is good and what is not good. So, yeah. I feel like that's pretty much all I have to say. This is probably going to be a longer video if I had to guess. I don't want to rush through this. So, and there's a lot of Pokemon. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about, like, now that we have seen a lot of how the format plays out and what's popular in the metagame, just how these Pokemon do overall. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump into it. The first Pokemon is Venusaur. Venusaur is one of the best Pokemon in the format. It's very fast thanks to Chlorophyll, in the sun that is. It has really good typing. The Poison and Grass typing is both very good. It's a good Dynamax Pokemon, it's a good non-Dynamax Pokemon, and it has access to Sleep Powder. For that reason, I think that Venusaur is probably an S tier Pokemon. It's either S or A for sure. We're going to put it in A for now, and then we're going to see what's in the S tier by the time we're finished, and we might bump it up. So it's A or S, one of the two, like A+, for example. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Venusaur is that, like, it can be supportive, or it can be offensive, and you can't really tell until you've seen it. And you can run it, like, in a bulky fashion as well. It's seen some play, though not a ton. But yeah, the real thing is just that Sleep Powder is such a powerful move when it hits, and, yeah, Venusaur is, like, the best Sleep Powder user, probably, outside of Butterfree right now. Next up, we have Gigantamax Charizard. Gigantamax Charizard is very good. I think that's probably also either an A or an S tier Pokemon. We'll put it in the A tier for now. Both these guys we might bump up later, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so basically Gigantamax Charizard's passive damage with the G-Max Wildfire is just incredible. And since we have such a good Sunsetter and Torkoal, yeah, like, it's very difficult to stop, in my opinion. Just the raw damage output is crazy, like, whether because of Solar Power and Sun Boost, or because of just, like, the passive damage. So, it's an offensive Pokemon, though it doesn't have to be, like, super frail or anything, because of the fact that Dynamax doubles the bulk. Yeah, I mean, it's not a joke that Charizard, you know, Gigantamax Charizard, even without Solar Power and without Sun, won the first regional of Sword and Shield. So yeah, I think it's definitely an A tier Pokemon. Regular Charizard, still solid, but not nearly as good as Dynamax Charizard or Gigantamax Charizard. You'd pretty much never run Dynamax Charizard unless you didn't have another way of sending Sun and you really wanted Solar Power. But yeah, I think it's definitely not as good as Gigantamax Charizard, and yeah, I might even put it in the C tier. Next up, we have Blastoise. So I want to put Blastoise higher, but it hasn't really seen very much play. It's like a bulky water that can be, well, it can function as a bulky water and be like supportive with, like, you know, on an Icy Wind, or it can be like a Shell Smash sweeper. It's seen like basically no play, so therefore I think we can't put it higher than C tier. People have tried it, but it hasn't had much success. Gigantamax Butterfree is next. I think that's probably a B tier Pokemon, maybe a C tier. I mean, but Gigantamax Butterfree has won a regional, so and there weren't that many tournaments, so I think B tier is probably fair for it. The thing is that it's like, you don't Gigantamax it that much, but they're, you know, yeah, like it's just like a nice option to have. It's basically just Sleep Powder support. And you know what? In the last tier list, I think I ranked Butterfree and G-Max Butterfree differently. But, like, since you almost never Gigantamax Butterfree anyway, I think it's fair just to put Butterfree with Gigantamax Butterfree. Yeah, basically, like, the thing about Butterfree is it's, like, almost 100% accurate with the Sleep Powders, and it also gives Rage Powder support. It's pretty good just as, like, a supportive Pokemon. People paired it with Dusclops, because unlike in DD, where, like, they can kind of ignore both DD and Dusclops and force you to make, like, a switch out to get your sweeper in, you can't really ignore Butterfree most of the time because it will Sleep Powder you, so, therefore, I like it a lot as a support Pokemon in certain comps. G-Max Pikachu. I think this is probably a C tier Pokemon. It's probably not D tier. Like, the effect of paralyzing both opponents is good, but you have to Gigantamax your Pikachu, and therefore not Gigantamax anything else. So yeah, therefore I don't really like it very much. Yeah, Raichu's not legal, Alolan for me. Raichu, regular for me, I think is good. I think it's Probably a B tier Pokemon. You could maybe argue C tier. It's a great support Pokemon, and the fact is that like Nuzzle is very good in this format, and outspeeding Durant is very good as well. So yeah, I think Raichu's probably fair in the B tier. Like Fake Out, Nuzzle, Volt Switch, or Volt Tackle. It's seen some play as well at regionals. Can do a lot of different things with it, and Lightning Rod's really good as well, so I like it a lot for that reason. Clefable, I think, is probably C or D tier. It's probably about as good as a Blastoise. Like, it doesn't see much play because Clefairy is kind of just strictly better than it. However, like, it's not a bad Follow Me user. It's just so inferior to Togekiss, in my opinion. I think Alolan Ninetales also goes into C tier. Maybe the D tier. But I think C tier to me is kind of like, these Pokemon aren't used much, but they have potential. B tier is like, these Pokemon are okay and are used a decent bit. A tier is like, these Pokemon are very good. And then S tier is like, these Pokemon are amazing. And I haven't figured out D and E, but they're definitely bad. So yeah, like, I feel like Ninetales, like, it's got the stats. It's got Aurora Veil. It has like Hail, which is like, this is a very weather heavy metagame. So being able to change the weather is typically good. So yeah, I mean, Ninetales doesn't see a ton of play, but it's not a terrible Pokemon in my opinion. Yeah, like, it doesn't see, like, a lot of play, but I don't know. It's, like, you definitely wouldn't be super surprised to see one. I think regular Ninetales is better than Alolan Ninetales, but I do think it's still a C-tier Pokemon. It's pretty much just used because of Drought. The stats are really lackluster, and although, like it's like an alternative to Torkoal, but yeah, like, it's still not great. Vileplume, I think, is probably D-tier, or E-tier. Like, honestly, I would have put it in D tier before Venusaur, but now that we've played like with Venusaur, like, there's almost no reason to use Vileplume over Venusaur. There's like a couple of niche things you can do with it, like use After You plus Torkoal, but in general, like, you really should be using Venusaur over Vileplume, so I don't think you should ever use Vileplume. Dugtrios are not great. I'm gonna put them both in the E tier. I think, like, Arena Shop's a good ability, so like maybe regular Dugtrio should be B tier or D tier, but yeah, the thing is that, like, their stats are so bad, offensively and defensively, and the only thing they have going for them is their high base speed, which, like, it's just not enough with Dugtrio on its own. So, I don't like Dugtrio. Like, you can maybe do some gimmicks with, like, beat-up stuff, but overall, it's just not super strong. Gigantamax Meowth is just bad, in my opinion. Alolan Persian, I'm really surprised, like, hasn't seen any play. Maybe there's probably a reason for that. I mean, I guess with Togekiss running around, like, it's not very good. I would normally put Alolan Persian in the C tier probably, but yeah, there's probably a reason why we haven't seen any. I guess it's just hard for it to maneuver with, like, Incineroar and Togekiss and stuff. And I guess if you wanted to run like a Fake Out Parting Shot user, now you would just run Incineroar because now Incineroar gets Parting Shot. So, I mean, I think Persian has some use for sure. However, I don't think it's ever going to be like super popular in the metagame. Regular Persian's E. I don't even know if it's legal personally, but it's definitely E. I think Arcanine's an A tier Pokemon. Arcanine is, like, a great support Pokemon. It's a fast Intimidator. It gets Snarl, it gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Helping Hand. Great support moves. It gets Safeguard. Had a lot of success in VGC 2020 already, and even with Incineroar, it's still holding its own. So, yeah, I think putting it in the A tier is probably fair. We have a lot of these left. This is going to be a long video. Gigantamax Machamp. So, Gigantamax Machamp this is, like, the first time it's been legal, is Series 3. So we haven't seen a ton of usage from it. I'm going to put it in the D tier because I think it's underexplored and has potential, though I don't know, like, it doesn't have so much potential that I feel comfortable putting it in the C tier, necessarily. But the effect is really cool, and I think someone could do really well if they figured out how to use it, but we haven't really seen much of it. Though, to be fair, there also haven't really been tournaments since Series 3 or 4, whenever it was started. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. I guess regular Machamp could be okay as well. Like, the crit effect is nice, but so is the attack boost, and otherwise they're identical, so I'm going to put Machamp in the same tier. Galarian Rapidash is really bad, so is regular Rapidash. I don't really have much to say about these two. They're overall just bad. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're pretty bad. Slowpoke is an E tier Pokemon, I think. I really like Slowpoke. Like, it has some stuff going for it in that it can set Trick Room slower than Torkoal, which allows you to surf. We used it on the channel before. However, it's just a gimmick, and I wouldn't expect it to do very well in the long term. Like, if people actually, like, know what it does, I don't think it does very well. Farfetch'd I love, but you don't bring him to competitive because he's too powerful. Cloyster, oh, here's where I'll make people mad. I forgot. This is for doubles, guys. Where's Cloyster going? Oh, Cloyster's so good. I wonder which S tier? Oh, 8. It's very bad. I think Gigantamax Gengar has a lot of potential. I think it's also, like, just a good Pokemon in general. I think we'll keep our consistency, which is, like, Gengar has seen some success this format. However, like, not a ton, and it, like, kind of it was run on one team, and then wasn't really seen after that. So I think C tier is probably fair in that, like, it has a lot of potential, and I think someone could do really well with it. However, with Dragapult running around, and with the redirection, and with the Sand Pokemon running around, it gets difficult for your boy Gengar. So, yeah. I like Kingler a lot, but I think it's probably an E tier Pokemon. The Foam Burst is cool, but, like, you'd really want to be running a different Dynamax Pokemon most of the time. The special defense is atrocious. It can't be intimidated, or its attack can't be dropped, which is nice. We have a lot of Pokemon left, dang. However, like, it just doesn't have enough going for it, in my opinion. Hitmons are both bad, I think. Yeah, I don't even know they're illegal because no one's used them. Yeah, like, there's pretty much no reason to run Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee over, like, Conkeldurr, for example. Galarian Weezing, I think, is interesting. It's seen some success. Like, it's won Wi-Fi tournaments, and it's used on the ladder, and, like, it's high on the ladder somewhat with, like, somewhat regularity. But its team, I still, like, I'm not totally sure how to feel about it, so we're going to put it in the C tier for now. Regular Weezing is probably an E tier Pokemon. I don't know why you'd ever use that over Galarian. I'm actually going to make a hot take, my first hot take of the video, I think, and I'm going to put Rhydon in the D tier. I think Rhydon is actually, like, okay. There might come a point where Lightning Rod is actually valuable in the format, or, like, where a team really needs Lightning Rod, and although Rhyperior wants to run the weakness policy, most of the time, if you have the weakness policy elsewhere and you don't have Eviolite elsewhere, I could see a reason, like, to run Rhydon. Against Body Press, which isn't boosted by Eviolite, but it's still got really high base defense, so, yeah. Seeking, E tier. The Mr. Mimes, I think, are both E tier. I want to like the Mr. Mimes, but, yeah, like, they're just not good enough. Gyarados kind of spiked at the beginning of the format, then went down as time went on, and now is kind of back on the rise. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I think it's, like, solid. I don't think anyone's, like, upset, you know, with Gyarados, or, like, feels like Gyarados needs to be super buffed. It just has some issues. I think the prevalence of Tricker makes it difficult for Gyarados, but we're actually seeing a rise in, like, Assault Vest Gyarados with Moxie. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it in the A tier. It's definitely, even if you bump all the A tier mons up to S tier, like, there's still a couple levels above how good I think Gyarados is, but I think Gyarados is reasonable to put in the B tier. I think Gigantamax Lapras is either A or S tier. I think it's probably an S tier Pokemon. Like, people run Brick Break now just to counter Gigantamax Lapras, and I think that's kind of telling. The Aurora Veil effect is so good, and yeah, I mean, Fevzi won the Champions Cup tournament, and he also got top 8 at regionals, kind of like just like with a Lapras team. Like, he played super well, and like his team was cool, but like it was definitely centered around Lapras. So yeah, Lapras regular for me is E tier, Eevee's E tier. Vaporeon, I don't really think you'd ever run Vaporeon. You could maybe argue D tier. I'm not sure where to put this one, honestly. Like, nobody's used Vaporeon. I think it's probably, like, the Vaporeon looks better than a lot of the Pokemon in the E tier, so I'll put it in the D tier. I feel the same way about Jolteon, actually. I think Jolteon maybe is slightly better than, like, Jolteon has some stuff going for it. It's base 130 speed. Yeah. Nah, Jolteon's not good enough. Jolteon and Flareon both go into E tier. Gigantamax Lax, I think, is probably a C or a B tier Pokemon. It's had some use at the beginning of the format and then super fell off. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Like, I think Gengar's probably about as good as Gigantamax Lax, and maybe even better. The fact is that, like, the Pinch Berries being nerfed really hurts Snorlax, the Belly Drum set specifically, and with all the Dusclops running Haze right now, it's very difficult for Snorlax to get set up properly, even without everything else. So, I mean, if it gets set up, it's very strong, but people haven't really been trying it. I actually think regular Lax is also C tier, maybe even, I actually prefer, like, regular Lax to Gigantamax Lax, maybe, but I'll put them both into C tier. Actually, no, you know what, they're B tier mons, I think. Like, Snorlax has been picking up with Yawn, I think, and, I think that's actually dangerous, and, yeah. I think Noctowl is unironically a D tier Pokemon. It hits so hard. The fact that it OHKOs Excadrill and controls both sides of speed, I think is really good. So, I mean, really good given it's Noctowl. So, yeah, I don't know, I like Noctowl. E tier is Lantern, Satu's E tier, Blossom, Sudowoodo, Quagsire. These are all E tier Pokemon. Espeon, sorry, I don't have anything to say about them. They're just bad. Espeon's tricky. It's E or D tier, I think. Let's see. I don't know where to put Espeon. I think it's probably E tier. I don't know of anyone who's used it. I think Umbreon, however, might be D tier. Pokemon that are bulky with Yawn are really good in this format, and Umbreon has some good support moves as well. So I'll put Umbreon in the D tier. While we've got E tier, Steelix, unfortunately, E tier. Quillfish, E tier. Shuckle, E tier. Cursula, like, honestly, like, I think could be legit. I kind of want to put it in D tier. Like, okay, so, oh, sorry. Singles players. Singles players. Is this thing banned? I don't even know. Oh, where is it? Is this fair? Are you, okay. Here, if you're singles players, you can stop the video. It's not very good. It's seen almost no use. I'm kind of biased because I lost to one in the May IC. It's very tanky and has good support moves. Like, it's super tanky, and its ability is good as well. I'm gonna hot take. People are gonna be mad at me, but I'm gonna hot take. I'm putting it in D tier. Like, it just sits there and is bulky and annoying, but it's like a very good answer to physical attackers. Although a lot of the physical attackers kind of just like eat Corsola. I don't know. We're gonna put it there. E tier, E tier, too powerful. Not like definitely banned. E tier. Mantine is actually interesting. They gave it Hurricane now, so it actually could be okay. I kind of want to put Mantine in D tier, but the fact that no one's used it when it's like kind of an obvious rain choice makes me feel like it's probably not great. Hitmontop is probably C tier. I think, like, it's seen some usage, but not a ton. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad mon. I think it mainly just suffers because both Fake Out and Intimidate were really nerfed. Yeah. Tyranitar, A or S tier for sure. I think it's an A tier Pokemon. It's very, very good. This format. I initially didn't think so, but I've changed my mind. Lanoon is E tier. Ludicolo is D tier. Like, if you're going to run a rain team, then Ludicolo can be kind of threatening. But other than that, like, and even rain teams aren't super good, so at the moment. So yeah, we'll put Ludicolo in the D tier. Shiftry, E tier. Pelipper. I really hate Pelipper. People thought that I was memeing last time, but I actually think it's such a bad Pokemon. It's because I'm used to good Pokemon like Politoed. Like, the thing is, if you're, like, you can use Pelipper to set the rain, but the thing is that, like, if you're gonna do that, you have to use Pelipper, which is just such a bad thing for your team. And given you only get 4 Pokemon per game, like, using one of them on Pelipper is just so bad. Especially when, like, Sand is common, Sun is common, and the fact that, like, people can overrate the weather. Pelipper is just such a bad rain setter, especially compared to Politoed, who is, like, just exactly what you want from a rain setter, in my opinion. Gardevoir, not very good. You can maybe argue D tier for Gardevoir. Like, maybe there's something it can do. I think both Ninjask and Shedinja. Yeah, there's too much sand for Shedinja, honestly. Yeah. Sableye is D tier, I think. I've had a lot of faith in Sableye, but after my May IC run, it's not good. Not good. Torkoal. Torkoal is interesting. I think Torkoal is an A tier Pokemon, personally. Not S tier. The fact is that, like, Sun and Sand are the only real weathers in this metagame that are relevant, and a big part of that is because Torkoal and Tyranitar are good weather setters. I like that people have been innovating and using, like, defensive Torkoal as well. I think that's a really smart adaptation. Not to toot my own horn, because I was kind of responsible for that, or partly responsible for that. I mean, Marcus. But yeah, I think it's a really good adaptation, personally. Flygon, not good. Lunatone, not good. Solrock, not good. Wishcash, not good. Crawdont, not good. Claydol, not good. Okay. With these Pokemon, they're overall just, like, lacking in major ways. Flygon lacks offense. These guys lack everything. Wishcash lacks everything. Crawdont lacks bulk. And Claydol lacks, like, offense. So, yeah, I don't really have much to say about them. They're just bad. Milotic, I think, is an A tier Pokemon. A or B, but Milotic's had a lot of success. I don't love this, like, Coil, Hypnosis, Recover, Muddy Water stuff that's going on, personally. People have also been running Life Orb Milotic, though. It's had a lot of success this format, I think, in part because of the fact that a lot of Dynamax moves will drop stats, which makes competitive very powerful. Yeah. Dusclops, I think it's easy S tier, personally. One of the best Pokemon in the format, in my opinion. Like, it's so bulky, and now that people are running Pain Split because the timer was changed, like, it's very, very viable, and you can fit it on most teams. Like, even if you don't have Trick Room, I've seen, like, some Imprisoned Dusclops, so, yeah. I think Clefairy's probably B tier. Good support Pokemon, an alternative to Togekiss that gives Friend Guard, picking up in usage, done well online. Not good. Roserade is interesting. I would have put it in the C or B tier probably before Venusaur, but now that we have Venusaur, you really don't run Roserade, in my opinion. Forgot Vespiquen was in the game. Cherrim has some cool gimmicks you can do with it. It's not super consistent. It's top cut like Wi-Fi tournaments before. It's cool. I think it has a lot of potential, but yeah, it hasn't had a ton of results. Gastrodon, I normally hate Gastrodon, but this is a good format for it. I think it's a B tier Pokemon. Storm Drain is really good this format. Yawn is really good this format. Can be used to support Pokemon that really hate water like moves, like mainly Colossal is the big one. But yeah, the fact that that Yawn is like so good in this format, I think really buffs it a lot. Moving on. Drifloom Seijian used, and I like Drifloom. I'm actually going to put it in the G tier. Some people might argue E tier, but I think that it has a lot of potential. Seijian used a weakness policy set. It also has great support moves as well. Skuntank bad. Bronzor you wouldn't really use. I think Bronzong is probably D or C tier. Like, it's such a good Pokemon. I'm putting the C tier. It's such a good Pokemon, but, like, the fact that Dusclops is everywhere just totally makes it so difficult. And with, like, Mold Breaker, Excadrill, Tyranitar, and Dragapult. Did I say Dragapult? Oh, yeah, and the Sun Pokemon, it just gets very difficult. Lucario is a D tier Pokemon. You can maybe cheese some people with it. But overall, it's not super consistent. It really relies on beat up to get attack boosts going. And if it doesn't have those boosts, then it really struggles. Hippowdon, D or E. I'm going to put it in the... I think it's a D tier Pokemon, honestly. Like, it gets Yawn, it gets Slack Off. It's an alternate Sand Setter that has more physical defense and doesn't share weaknesses or doesn't have the same weaknesses as Tyranitar, but you would need a really good reason to not run Tyranitar. Drapion, bop. Toxicroak, bop. Abomasnow, unfortunately, bop. Weavile. I'm going to Weavile in the D tier. I feel a little weird doing that. It's probably E tier. It's just not very good is the thing. Rhyperior, I think, is probably A or B tier, for sure. I think Rhyperior is B tier. High B tier, though, for sure. Yeah, I would have put Rhyperior in A tier earlier in the format when people were running, like, weakness policy stuff with it, but there's so much Haze Dusclops right now, and it just feels like the metagame is moving against Rhyperior, so I'm going to put it down. Togekiss is another S tier Pokemon. It's one of the best support Pokemon in the format. It's used on tons of teams. It can be offensive, it can be weakness policy, it can be Dynamax or non-Dynamax. It can actually be both at the same time if you want to run it that way. Yeah. Leafeon, I think it's... Glaceon's definitely E tier. I think Leafeon might be D tier. Like, on certain Sun teams, you might be able to justify it over Venusaur because it actually offers, like, physical offense, but you most of the time want to run Venusaur, I think. Mamoswine, I think, is also D tier. Not much usage, but has some potential. The metagame's just not favorable towards it at the moment. Gallade is bad. You'd never use Dusknoir over Dusclops. Frostlass isn't very good. Rotom Frost isn't very good. Rotom Heat, I think, is C tier. Has some usage. Like, it was actually used on that Gengar team, I think. But, yeah, I don't think it's amazing. I think Rotom Mow is slightly better. They're not much better. These Rotoms would pretty much never be used. And then Rotom Wash, I think, is A tier. Yeah, I think this is how I'd rank the Rotoms. Like, of course, it's subjective, and like maybe Heat and Mow are both B tier, or maybe Mow is C tier. Actually, I think Oven should be probably higher. Is that fair? Yeah, that looks fair given the rest of the Pokemon of this year. Clefairy maybe should be higher, actually. I think Clefairy should be higher given the rest of these Pokemon. Yeah, that looks more reasonable. But then maybe Rhyperior gets bumped up to 2. No, we'll put Clefairy here. It's fine. Some of these are tough because it's like the division is difficult. Liepard, not terrible. It's got second into regional, but it's definitely not a Pokemon you can add to most teams. You kind of have to build around it, in my opinion, and has some issues as well. I like Musharna, great Trick-Room Setter. You wouldn't use it over Dusclops. Infazant, very bad. Didn't even know it was in the game. Jigglypuff. I've seen some Jigglypuff. People are using it with like weakness policy and stuff. Not very good. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can give it a shot. Swoobat, no. Excadrill, A or S tier. Excadrill's had so much success this format. I don't know if I'd put it over like Venusaur and Charizard though. I'm gonna put it. I think it's like a high A tier. No, I've messed everything up. Yeah, Excadrill's very good this format. Mold Breaker and Sandrush. So we started out with Sandrush and kind of transitioned into Mold Breaker, which is cool. But yeah, it's like one of the best Steel-type Pokemon, and we don't have that many good Steel-type Pokemon, so yeah. I love Conkeldurr. I honestly think Conkeldurr might be S tier. Yeah, Conkeldurr is just an amazing Pokemon this format, especially with Dusclops. It's seen a ton of success. Won at least one regional. Won the Champions Cup. Tons and tons of usage. So yeah, I think putting it high up is pretty fair. I mean, you could also argue A tier for Conkeldurr. I like S tier. Seismitoad, I think, is D tier. It has some potential and some use, but not a ton of it. These are both E tier. I think Whimsicott's dropped a lot. I'm gonna drop it to the A tier. It's like Prankster Tailwind is still very good, even though the usage has gone down, and the usage has primarily gone down because Dusclops is like so high right now. But Whimsicott's still a great Pokemon. It also won a regional. Basculin's bad. Darmanitan's okay. Like, Station used it to win the World Champ Invitational. It's seen some play here and there, but yeah, like, the problem is that it's just so frail and really kind of works on hyper offense teams, and if you don't have a hyper offense team, then it doesn't do very well, in my opinion. However, it has some stuff going for it, for sure, so we're putting it there. I don't think the other Darmanitan forms are very good. I don't think Maractus is very good. I don't think Dwebble is very good. I think you could justify Scrafty on certain teams and put Scrafty here. Configrigus is tricky. Like, it's either E or D tier. I think maybe D tier. The real thing is that, like, you would really have to... It's hard to justify it over Dusclops. However, you can run Mental Herb on it. I guess that's like... You can actually run an item, and it has great bulk, so we'll put it there. Sigilyph actually has seen some usage, so we're going to put it in the D tier. It's not a great Pokemon by any means, but it has some unique things it can do, like Gravity Hypnosis and Tailwind and stuff like that. Tinted Lens, that kind of stuff. Gmax Garbodor freaks me out. It's not very good. Neither is regular Garbodor. Chinchino's not very good either. Gothitelle, I think probably B tier. Like, it's seen some usage for sure. It's mainly that, like, Gothitelle's not that good without its ability. It just needs competitive. But, sorry, Shadow Tag. But, Shadow Tag is such a good ability that I think you can justify it a lot of the time. Reuniclus got second at a regional. It gets into the D tier. I think it's seen almost no usage, but it's a very powerful sweeper if you get it into position and Trick Room. Vanillix, I mean, people used Vanillix early format. It's really died down, but I think it's not terrible. You run it mostly with Sash or Scarf, and yeah, just use like Ice-type Blizzards and Aurora Veil and that kind of stuff, and use it as like a weather setter. I think Escavalier is also okay. Like, the thing is that our steel types are kind of limited in this format, and so I think Escavalier actually gets a bump by being a steel type, because you can definitely justify it in some teams. Overcoat is really nice as well. Jellicent won a regional. It's like a decent Pokemon, but like, I would have put Jellicent higher earlier, but like, everyone's just running Dusclops now, and so it's so hard to justify some of these other Pokemon that do similar things, because Dusclops typically will do the job much better. Gavangela has seen no usage. Ferrothorn is good. It's being used a lot right now with Body Press, Iron Defense stuff. Or Leech Seed or Assault Vest. You could maybe argue B tier for Ferrothorn as well, though I think A tier is probably fair. We'll put it in the B tier. Like, it hasn't... Yeah, we'll put it in the B tier. Kling not amazing. Behemoth's not amazing. I think Chandeler's okay. I think Chandeler's probably a C tier Pokemon. Seen a good chunk of play throughout the entirety of the format. It's frail and normally runs Focus Sash, and it's not very fast, but it can be used as like an Imprison user against Trick Room. The problem is that people have developed good counterplay. I don't think Haxorus is good. I don't think Beartick is good. I don't think Excelgor is good. Stunfisk, no. Galurk, no. Bisharp has seen some usage. We're going to put it in the D tier. It's not amazing by any means. However, you can definitely justify using it on some teams. It's definitely gotten to like #1 in the ladder before. Defiant, like competitive, is just a good ability. And speaking of Defiant, we also have Braviary, who I think is probably a C or a B tier Pokemon. Braviary usage is like super fallen. It kind of needs to Dynamax to be good, and people just, it feels like people just have good counterplay. Also, Dusclops is really hard for it, so yeah. Mandibus hasn't seen any usage. Heatmore's not good. Durant is good. It's very, very dangerous offensively. With Life Orb and Dynamax, it does insane damage, and you definitely need to respect it. It feels like it's trending downwards, but yeah. Hydreigon did okay at a regional. It's not great. The 4x weakness to Fairy is kind of difficult for it in a format where like everybody has Togekiss. However, it still top 16 to regional, so we'll put it in the E tier. Diggersby is actually trending upwards. I'm going to put Diggersby in the C tier. Maybe higher than a lot of people expected, but it's definitely being used. It hits really hard with huge power, and when you Dynamax it and give it Giga Impact, it's like, it does a lot of damage with Life Orb, but with Helping Hand, so yeah. I think these two are not especially good, but Meowstic, male, has seen some usage. Sazin used it on his Centiskorch team. It has good support moves. It has Yawn, it has Ally Switch, and Prankster really buffs both of those, allowing you to Ally Switch before Fake Out and stuff if you have... if you have like a higher speed stat, so that's really good. It gets Trick Room, screens, overall solid. Yeah. Meowstic female hasn't been used, and Pangaroo isn't really used. Aegislash is used a little bit. I'm going to put it in the C tier. It was used by Eric Rios and Alex Gomez on their team to like just have Focus Sash, and it was on the triple ghost. Like, there were 3 ghosts in the team, with Mimikyu and Dragapult being the other 2. And you had Shadow Sneak to maybe self-proc weakness policy, and you had Close Combat to hit Tyranitar, so I think it's okay. These two are not especially good. Neither is Malamar, in my opinion. Or Barbarical, or Heliolisk. Sylveon, though, is good. Like, these guys, I don't have anything to say about them. They're not good. Sylveon's good. I'm going to put Sylveon in the A tier, I think. Maybe B tier, you could argue, but I think, yeah, Sylveon has seen a lot of success already this format. The Hyper Voice is really strong. It has, like, Yawn and Helping Hand for support options. It has Quick Attack for priority and self-proc weakness policy, and it gets Mystical Fire for coverage, so it's good. Haluja's seen no usage. Gurja's seen a little bit of usage. I think it's probably a D tier Pokemon. Yeah. I thought Gudra had a lot of potential. It feels like it's kind of fallen off, but I think it could still make a run. These two, or Trevenant's not very good. Just for Eduardo, I'll put Gourgeist to tier up. I wouldn't normally put it this high. However, in this case, like, I mean, it got second at an international, so even though I don't personally like it very much, there's a reason, like, you can't be that bad if you're getting second at an international, I think, in terms of, like, Pokemon. Avalugg here, I think Noivern's actually okay. Like, anything with Tailwind, I think, has a chance at being decent, especially if it's a very fast Tailwind user. There's a Noivern team that's done well on the ladder, and so, yeah, I think that maybe it has more potential than people give it credit for. It's definitely not great, though. Decidueye also, I think, has some potential. Not amazing, though. Torcat got top 8 in a regional. It's okay. I mean, you could justify using it, I guess. Incineroar, probably an A-tier Pokemon. Obviously, I would like to say it's S-tier, but I think realistically, it's looking more like it's A-tier. It's not as, like, overpowered thanks to our campaign of banning Incineroar. He got scared and decided not to be as good as he was in the past. But yeah, I think just the weaknesses, like the nerfs to Fake Out is the big one, but also partially Intimidate. Really kind of hurt Incineroar. Like, it took away from Incineroar being so overpowered, so I think A-tier is probably fair. Primarine is great. I would put it in A-tier for now and maybe bump it up to S-tier later. One of the best Pokemon in the format, for sure. Vigavolt's not especially good. Ribombee, you can do some speed swap stuff with it, but other than that, it's not super good. But the high base speed stat, the access to Pollen Puff and speed swap, it's a good support Pokemon. I'll put it in D-tier. Wishy-Washy, not great. Toxapec's not great. Oh, singles players. Oh, singles players. Here you go. Look away now before I do something bad. Bop. Modzill's alright. I'd put it in the C tier. Like, it was used a lot early format, but it's really fallen off. Another Pokemon that's hurt a lot by Haze Dusclops. Araquanid, I think, is alright. It's seen some use at regionals. I believe at Top Cut 1. However, yeah, like, the fact that, like, the Gastrodon's around and that Sun is so popular and that, like, Araquanid kind of only has one attacking type, which is water, really hurts it. Shiinotic's not great. You can do some gimmicky stuff with it, but it's not consistent. These guys are bad as well. Serena's kind of tricky because, like, it could be good, I think. Like, I do believe in Serena's ability to do well, but it just hasn't, so that's probably E tier. Oranguru kind of similarly. Passimian's pretty good, though. Well, like, pretty good given what it's working with, given the counterpart is Oranguru, which is kind of bizarre because I would expect Oranguru to be better. Passimian gets Defiant. Most Pokemon with Defiant are not terrible this format. Yeah, I mean, Sage used it to win the World Champ Invitational. It's relatively bulky with Assault Vest. It can Dynamax. It gets Faint. Knockoff. Those are all good. Glissobod's no good. Pugamugu's no good. Silvally has seen some use, but not a ton. I'll put it in the G tier. Turtonator is awful. One of the worst Pokemon. Chocodomaru has seen some use as well. I'm going to put it in the D tier. Fake Out Nuzzle is just like a solid combination. And Electric and Steel resisting both of Togenkiss' stabs is also very good. I'm going to put Mimikyu in the A tier, I think. Maybe a bit high for some people, but it's seen so much success this format that I think it's justifiable. It got second at a regional. It's seen a ton of play. It's on many successful teams. I think it can justify A tier Mimikyu personally. Dragon Grandpa not great. Delmos has seen some use. We'll put it in the D tier. It's very powerful under Trick Room. It mainly suffers because of its low base speed stat, which doesn't really like allow it to work outside of Trick Room. Como is not good. The Melmetals aren't legal. Rillaboom actually has seen some play. I know Japanese teams were using it with like Charizard, Rillaboom, Extra Clefairy. I think it's going to be really good when it gets Grassy Surge. For now, I think it's still C tier. Pokemon that get Knockoff and can like reliably fit it, I think are like good in this format because of all the Dusclops. Cinderachi's no good at all. Inteleon's also C tier Pokemon. I would have put it in B tier at one point, but it's fallen off so much as Dusclops picks up. Greedent isn't good. Gmax Corviknight, I don't think you would use. You could use it to get rid of screens, but in general, the flying type is going to be much better. I'm going to put Corviknight up here. Yeah, I think you should never use Gmax Corviknight over Corviknight, personally. Orbeetles aren't good. Thievel isn't good. Aldegos had so much potential, but it's really fallen, like, in my opinion. Double is no good. Dreadnought Gmax hits Stealth Rock, so I don't think you want that. However, regular Dreadnought hits like a tank, so we're going to put it in D tier. I think if someone were to make a successful rain team, there's a good chance that Dreadnought would be on it, so yeah. Bolton's unfortunately not very good. Regular Colossal's okay. I'll put it in like the C tier. And I think Gigantamax Colossal's a B tier Pokemon, personally. Oh, did I flip those? Yeah, Gmax Vocalith, similar to Gmax Wildfire, just does a ton of passive damage. And yeah, Colossal's really good. I would even put Colossal in A tier, personally. The apples, I don't know what they do, but that's Flapple, that's Appleton. They're not good at all. I mean, actually, Appleton could be okay, I think. But nah, it hasn't really seen much success. Gmax Sandaconda hasn't really seen much success. I think we have to put it into the E tier. Same with regular Sandaconda for sure. Cramorant's not great. Barraskewda's okay, I think. It's another really powerful water type. Barraskewda's like they wanted to make Basculin do what Basculin was supposed to do. G-Max Toxtricity either poisons or paralyzes. I still don't like it very much personally. We're gonna put them all. They're D tier, I think. They're not terrible. They have some really threatening things they can do. However, the terrible bulk and defensive typing is just not good for them. G-Max Centiskorch I think is also D tier. It's actually going faster than I expected. Yeah, Sagent used it. G-Max Centiferno is really good, and it's a Pokemon that you sometimes are afraid to hit. It also often will run Charty Berry, which kind of mitigates the weakness. I think if you're running it, though, you should definitely be using G-Max. Octolocto is not super good. Poltegeist, not good at all. G-Max Hatterini, I think, is actually really good. I'm going to put it in the A tier. The Confusion effect is just super, super strong. And the amount of damage it outputs is insane. It's won a regional as well. Actually, I think regular Hatterini won a regional. I don't remember if it's Gigantamax. G-Max regular Hatterini is much worse because the Fairy type move sets the Misty terrain, which gets like overwrites the Psychic terrain that you actually want up. So that's why it's a tier below, but it's still a good Pokemon. G-Max Grimmsnarl is like I guess just a superior version of Grimmsnarl in case you're ever forced to Dynamax it. I think it's a B tier Pokemon for sure. Great support Pokemon, but has fallen off a bit recently. Yeah. Obstagoon's not especially good. Berserker, not great. I actually think Cursula is a D tier Pokemon, not an E tier Pokemon. Has a lot of potential, I think. Surfetch, not especially good. Mr. Rhyme, not super good. Runerigus, all similar to Cofagrigus, like, could be okay. You can do some stuff with Diggersby with it as well, where you swap huge power to it. G-Max Alchemy is like Alchemy, but better because it heals. I think probably a C tier Pokemon. Decorate's really a strong move, but it overall lacks a lot of things that would otherwise make it good. So there's Alchemy. Phalanx isn't good. Pincurchin, no. Stonejourner I want to believe in, but I don't. Ice Cube, it's gimmicky. It's not great. Indeedee Female is actually pretty good, I think. Great support Pokemon. So it's the only Psychic Terrain setter in the game, so yeah. I think B tier is pretty fair for it. Indeedee Male is going to be a tier lower than that. It doesn't function as a support Pokemon, so which is like an offensive Pokemon. However, it's still like solid and can be used in certain gimmicky teams, I think. Morpeko has some things going for it. Its attack is so strong that we're going to put it into the D tier, even though I don't love it. G-Max Copperajah, I think, is a D tier Pokemon. So is Copperajah. I think they have potential, though. I honestly believe in these Pokemon a lot. They're very, like, they have a lot of things going for them, but no one's really been able to make them work yet. Dragozolt, good Pokemon, B tier. Yeah, like, had some success. Hustle plus Dynamax makes it hit so hard. Won the World Champ Invitational. However, like, I really hate using it out of Dynamax, and it doesn't need to be going first to be good. Arctozolt, unfortunately, is not super good. Dracovish, I think, is A tier. You know what, no. I mean, it won an International. I'll put it in the B tier just to keep people happy, but I think it's personally A tier. Yeah, like, it won an International. Gastrodon being around is hard for it. Lapras being around is hard for it. Follow Me Togekiss is hard for it, but it's still very good. And in the right position, it just destroys. Arctozolt we'll put here. G-Max Duraludon you wouldn't ever use, I think. Regular Duraludon, though, is a solid Pokemon. Probably a B tier Pokemon. It's won a regional. Hits hard. Stalwart's a great ability. People have started running, like, Assault Vest support moves, like Dragon Tail, which is cool. And last but not least, we have Dragapult, who I think is maybe an S tier Pokemon. Or maybe, I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think that's fair. Like, and I think, honestly, maybe I should bump Conk down. I don't really know. It's tough. But I feel overall solid about how this turned out, I think. I'm sure people will still be mad about certain things, but I feel like this is pretty fair, and hopefully people agree with it. This is, yeah, just like a look into the format now that we're several months into it, and, yeah, this is what I came up with. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I know we've done this video a couple times, but I still think it's interesting because the tier list changes depending on, you know, how far into the metagame we are and as the metagame changes and more Pokemon are added. So, yeah, I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, which will be tomorrow for the next video. Goodbye.